Welcome to the Friday Breakdown. I'm your co-host, Tyler. I'm here with Josh. Eric has run away with his mistress, and no one knows where he is. Last time we saw anything, he was on a flight out of country, and as far as we know, he's never coming back, and he hates all of you. Today, we're kicking it off with obviously some Trump news. I know this isn't the Wednesday political show, but this is stuff that we can't not talk about. And then me and Josh are going to pick a lot of small instances that have recently happened that don't really warrant an entire breakdown because there's not a lot to break down, but there's a little bit in each one to break down. So this show is brought to you by Ghostbed. Sleep so good, it's scary. Use promo code Wolfpack or ghostbed.com/Wolfpack, and you're going to get 50% off. If you're going to get another bed, another mattress, I've bought, in the last 6 years, I bought two just because of people moving in and out. I don't know how you can get a better deal other than 50% off. So go to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack and get your deal there. Also, Factor Meals. If you go to factormeals.com, put in your order, and then use Wolfpack 50, you also get 50% off. All right. So me and Eric have been kind of on a kick. I know Josh is too. We're trying to lose weight. It is a huge majority in the gym, but it's also eating. And we also have chaotic schedules, like waking up this morning. I didn't have anything to eat. I didn't have any breakfast made. I had to, me and Josh had to be here at a certain time to do this. And then once I leave here, it's so nice to have that stack of Factor meals in the fridge. You throw it in the microwave, heat it up. Protein heavy, that's what I go with. I have no idea what Eric and Josh eat, but Eric's not eating anything because he left us all, and his fridge is going to rot. So without further ado, Josh, you ready to give us some news on President Trump?
Future President Trump? Let's take it away, and then we'll do the count.
Oh.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guns up, giddy up. This is Fair to Stop Friday Breakdown. I'm Deadleg. This morning I have Tyler with me. Or the other way around. This morning Tyler has me. And after the show, we definitely have put a search party together. And I may have put a transponder on his plane. We're searching. We don't know. We may or may not find him. But it is what it is. Show must go on. And there you have us.
This will probably be the best show. The one without Eric. Watch him. He'll get all mad.
Yeah, the numbers will go through the roof. And then we're going to have to explain to him, like, look, man, I know that you and Mike started this, but sorry, the numbers are the numbers. Tyler is just pulling them, and you're not.
Yeah, his future goal is to have an entire channel for breakdowns, correct?
Yeah, I think we're working on like how we're going to do it, whether we're going to pull from here, whether we're going to do independent things of our own, or how that's going to go down. But he does want to have a channel that's more kind of like what we're doing today, but it'll be a lot shorter video. So you won't get a full hour breakdown. You might get 10 minutes long, and the clip is 2 or 3 minutes long. So you don't need a whole, hour to break it down, versus some of these videos, you need the entire hour because you're going to have to slowly break down each one of these instances to see in seconds the way these officers and the suspects and people are responding in real time to this stuff.
Word. All right.
Word.
Okay, you know more about this Trump stuff than I do. I don't. What's he being charged with? Where? Eric hates me because I do not stay on top of anything political.
It's weird because, if you go back, further back before we even get to this trial, the amount of people, the amount of investigative bodies that have looked at what they've looked at and said, nope, there's nothing here. Then the next body comes in and they say, nope, there's nothing here. And then the next one comes in and goes, hey, I'm going to run on my election. If you put me as the DA, I'm going to go after Trump. And they elected him. And guess what? He went after Trump. So
was he elected or appointed?
Let me check and see if Bragg was appointed. Bragg.
Because that's, that would, to me, they're going to appoint anybody that's going to serve their purpose.
He was elected in 2021, became the first African American elected to that specific office, the New York District Attorney covering Manhattan. So multiple agents. So for you guys to understand, like when there's when a crime happens, there's a bunch of different places, bunch of different things that it could fall under. So if you run a stop sign, it's usually just a city crime. Whereas if you're dealing drugs, then you've got the ATF might be involved. If you're going crimes when they, cross state lines, you get the FBI involved and ATF involved. And then you got tax evasion. So the IRS is going to get involved. You got all these other federal agencies that'll get involved in these things. And some of them will say, our investigative power here is not nearly as great as yours, or the crimes that you have are greater than what we have, and we're not going to do this. Or they look at it and go, hey, there's nothing here. If you guys want to run this on the state level, or you want to think that you got like a state thing here, you can try it, but there's nothing here. So in the charges of what they're alleging were misdemeanors that they brought to felonies. I can't sit here and tell you exactly, because I don't know. Because I watch CNN, I watch Fox News, I watch MSNBC, occasionally we'll watch some of The View, but I watch all these different places to try to get a round understanding, because one place is going to give you their side of the story, another place is going to give you their side of the story, and as you know, there's usually somewhere in the middle is what's actually going on. So I don't know. I know that he was charged. I know that they've elevated the charges to felonies. I know that in every other court system in the United States that's going on right now today, if you were to be convicted, you need a unanimous decision. This is why the OJ case was so big, because they were like, all we need is one juror. We just need one. That's all you need. Yeah. You need one to get a hung jury. You need one to get a mistrial. That's all you need. But in this trial, the DA is giving instruction, the judge is giving instructions to the jury that you need unanimous decision. Some can find him guilty on this, some can find him guilty on this, and some can find him guilty. To me, this is a sham. It's a big, we're going to to bring our ponies out here, let everybody see them, then we're going to take them back into pasture, and they're not going to run the race. Nothing's ever going to happen with it, because as soon as this goes to appeals, the Supreme Court over and over and over and over and over again has unanimously over and over in the history of our courts said that you have to have a unanimous decision for you to be guilty. And in this one case that involves the former president, you're going to change all of our historic jury instructions and our Constitution just for this one guy, and you're going to tell me that it's not political? It's going to go to appeals, and it's going to go nowhere.
All right. Well,
but the timing of the sentencing is a few days before the Republican National Convention, so you gotta take that with what it is. Then did you see this? Not to just brief over the president being charged with 34 felonies, but did you see this shooting that came out of Minneapolis last night?
I saw the aftermath of it. There's no camera footage of this, right? That you know of?
Not that I know of, not yet. Let me add the correct one. Supposedly, what was reported is there was a shooting in progress was put out, and officers responded to the scene. As soon as they got to the scene, they were immediately met with gunfire. I'm going to read just the first couple paragraphs here. The 2 people were killed, including a police officer, in a shooting Tuesday evening in Minneapolis, according to city officials. The suspect is also dead. A second police officer was wounded and has been released from the hospital. A firefighter also suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Police say 2 civilians were also hurt, one gravely and one critically, and their identities and the identity of the suspect have not been released at this time. In the press conference on Thursday evening, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry identified 36-year-old Jamel Mitchell as the officer that was killed in the shooting. And if that name sounds familiar to some people that are in the Minneapolis area, that's because last year I didn't put it up here yet. He went into a house with his fellow officer and saved some elderly people from the fire. And it was enough that the Minneapolis police put out a press release for it and said that Officer Zachary Randall and newly sworn in officer Jamal Mitchell saved 2 lives today. The officers responded to a call this morning and found a house on fire. The officers ran into the building and rescued the elderly couple, and their home was completely engulfed in flames. Quote, cops are not trained to run into burning buildings. The officers ran in and put their lives on the line despite the danger and saved 2 of our residents as if they were members of their own family. Today was only Mitchell's 3rd day on the job, and it is exemplary work by both officers. Their quick actions today were truly heroic, and they prevented this fire from becoming more than tragic, the chief said.
I don't know why people are still working for the Minneapolis Police Department. After George Floyd, I mean, I know their numbers have gone down tremendously, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, but that place is a fucking shithole, and their admin is corrupt as hell, right? Like, I don't. They've got a shit ton of like deputy chiefs or whatever. Like every time I see a talking head for their admin, it's someone different. Like this chick and the press release for this was like, "Oh, my condolences to his family. My condolences to his child." Like, thanks. Like if. And I know there's not much they can do, but if you're a cop and you think that anybody's gonna give a shit about you, an admin, when you take a round in the face, trust me, I'm telling you, make sure your family knows how much you love them, and make sure you do everything on your end, because my condolences to his son. That's probably about all you're gonna fucking get.
Because here's what's even worse about his death. Not just that he died. 2 blocks away from the original caller's area, Mitchell had been attempting to provide medical assistance to 2 men who had been injured when he was, quote, ambushed. So he wasn't even at the scene. He wasn't even at the call. So like, I think this is again, facts are coming out. So we could have to come back and retract and explain and change things a little bit out. But my belief is it's probably a shooting call comes out. The police get there. As soon as they get there, they realize, hey, the cops are here. We might need to run. So they start running. And they run in the direction of where this other officer is, and he just happens to be in the line of fire in their direction, and they ambush him, thinking that he's involved with this, trying to set up a perimeter. It's sad. It's sad that this happened. It's sad that the leadership's there. There's no leadership.
I mean, cop work in general too, man. Just to come take a burglary report about the leaf blower in your shed getting stolen, I gotta wear fucking plates in my vest that are for 7.62 rounds, dude. That's what I have to wear to come do paperwork at your house, because there's a war on cops.
Because your call that you go for this burglary could be just nothing. We've covered quite a few cases that were ambushes. There was no call. There was nothing going on. The suspects called 911 with a false report to get people to respond. And as soon as they responded, they ambushed them. We've covered not one, not two. We've covered quite a few of these cases in the last couple of years. And I've only been on the podcast for about a year and a half. So for me to have that much frequency in the number that we covered, it's just sad. And the cases that we're going to cover today, you got to understand that police officers are going into calls every day that no one else will answer. They're not calling your neighbor to come pick this call. You're not calling the neighbor. They're not calling your uncle to come take care of their unruly kid that's been stealing Kias and can't stop stealing Kias and doing meth or whatever. They're not calling your uncle. They're not calling your grandma. They're calling the police to come deal with this. And you have to come deal with literally everything from a grandmother just complaining about loud kids down the street to someone trying to murder you.
Yeah.
And everything in between.
I got called once to an old lady who wanted me to remove a turtle from her pool. And she's like, well, animal services won't come. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. I'm like, what do you want me to? I mean, in my head, I'm thinking like, what do you want me to do? Shoot it? Like, what am I supposed to do? Fucking take it into fucking custody and book them in? Like, I'm not a turtle remover. I don't even know anything about turtles or how to get turtles out of a pool. But that's what people call the police for. They call the police for any minor inconvenience in their life. And I get it. That's what you're taught at a very young age. And then you grow into anti-authority, and then you might even grow into anti-cop, but it's still instilled in your brain, when things go wrong, call 911, right? And when you call 911, we're probably definitely coming, unless it's cleared medical at the 911 call. If it's determined 100% medical, we won't come. But unless you're going to die, then we come. So that sounded weird.
Yeah. Well, we can clip it and take it out of context later. Don't worry. We have some amazing editors in this channel. Don't worry about it. If you just want to take your hand and put it into like a side so we can Photoshop things in, we can do that too.
Unless you're going to die, then we're going to come.
Yeah.
And we should call this the Friday Breakdown with Daddy Tyler and Uncle Josh. Just to make it creepier. Just to make it creepier.
I have the power to change the title. I can do all kinds of things behind the
Friday
scenes. We'll
Breakdown
make it good.
with Daddy Tyler and Uncle Josh.
We got $10 super check from WT back to. He doesn't have a message, but his message beforehand was.
Why don't you call his handle what it is? Damn it. He paid money. You know what WT back to means.
I just realized it. Just realized it. This is calling license plates out. Side note, before we get into this, we definitely didn't have an unofficial game of who could have the most obscure license plate called out on a traffic stop before. I pulled over a bright orange, like a burnt orange red Corvette one time. It was like mid 2000s, late 2000s. The old guy was very much the typical white guy driver. License plate was Viagra. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So Wetback says, no one gives a shit about us here in Chicago. They call us, but then they don't want to talk. I wear the dragon skin on a plate that I had to purchase myself. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That you had that. This was even crazier. This is not even going to, we're not going to cover this one because we don't have it for today, but there was a case here in Chicago that it's making news because they're going to let her off with nothing. No charges filed. She stole a police car, tried to run over a police officer. Police officer gets hurt. It's a whole big long incident that's on body camera. There's no question of what happened. And they let her out because they said that she had a mental episode. And she just now has to go just to check in like a couple of times for some counseling, and that's it.
Yeah, man, all these cops out there killing it, dude. I get it. I was the same way. At some point in your life, you will realize, like, oh, like the whole thing about you get paid no matter what. If you just sit there and wait for your calls for service, or you go out there and you risk injury, you risk death, you risk getting in trouble, you risk everything, you get paid the same amount as the other guy. A lot of people fucking hate that. So the way they deal with that is they call those cops lazy, right? Oh, I'm out here doing the Lord's work. I'm out here making a difference. You're just a lazy cop. Until they get their fucking
First right into the IA.
Yeah, and then they're like,
First time they're running
oh,
the news.
I get it. Like, I remember I chased a girl for shoplifting out in the mall parking lot. Shoo. Misdemeanor shoplifting. She tries getting in her car. You know, I'm telling her, stop, police. I'm yanking the door. She's trying to put it in drive. We get her out. She almost took me with her, right? All that charge is, oh, mind you, the fucking store didn't want to prosecute. So we had after the fact, we had no theft charges.
No victim.
All I had was resisting without violence because she was trying. Because that was a misdemeanor. So then she went and got it dropped. And I was like, man, I almost took a fucking ride in this car on the side of it for a misdemeanor that got dropped. I was like,
It's crazy. So getting into today's case, I want to bring up a case from your past, from your inauguration here on Failure to Stop. This is a case we covered, was it late last year or early this year?
Man, probably
Late last year.
Yeah, maybe.
Mid to late last year.
Yeah. October,
So
November, maybe?
Yeah. Here locally, where I live at in Colorado, just north of where I live at, there was a deputy pulled over a car. The car had expired plates, makes contact with the driver. Driver gives him a fake name. He realizes it's a fake name. As soon as he realizes it's a fake name, tells him he's under arrest. Guy dips, starts to run. He runs from the traffic stop, but the traffic stop was on the freeway exit. And he ran straight off the freeway exit,
Don't
right
ruin
onto the
it.
freeway. And something happens.
Something happens. Spoiler alert.
So, did you give me the right name?
Yeah,
What's your name?
Jacob Todd Jones.
Why don't you give me the right name?
It is the right name.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Brent, I know. So, right now you're under arrest.
Okay, nope.
Stop! You're gonna get tased! Stop!
Don't tase him. Don't tase him. Oh no.
Shit!
Does Eric know you played the full video?
I think we played it last time, but we only played it once. So we'll only play it once this time too. So in this instance, the Larimer County Sheriff, I'm going to pull up exactly who did the investigation. The Larimer County District Attorney wrote, while the result of this decision was tragic as a legal matter, he decided that he could minimize injury by stopping Mr. Thompson from crossing the highway. The use of Taser was probably the only use of force that he had available. And the deputy was engaged in a lawful arrest. The law clearly doesn't require police interactions in these circumstances. So in this case, the deputy was not charged at all.
Yeah, good. That's crazy too, because anywhere else, man, that deputy would have been charged. I feel like.
Well, so
I'm cynical,
here's why I in some instances I say yes, that we definitely need to investigate it because obviously there's a death. So we need to go back and look at it because from a training aspect, even though he's not charged, I guarantee there are going to be training slides going, hey, remember that time when we tased that guy and he ended up getting run over on the freeway? We need to maybe not do that again because it's not, even though he's not being charged, it's not good press for the police. It's not great things that happened. Someone still died. And the charges and things that he had some meth problems and had some drug problems and had a suspended license and was possibly under the influence at the time. And his tags were expired. And earlier in the day, his mom already yelled at him for driving on expired tags, and they had a dispute and he left. So all of that's great. But these are all decisions that the suspect made that the deputies reacted to. So the deputies reacted to the suspect running. And in this case, the deputy was not charged. But the case that we're going to break down today, there's another case after this that the deputy was charged. And we're probably going to break that one down a little bit more. But the case today comes out of Maryland. So to set this up, a 911 call comes in and they describe two individuals, two black males selling drugs and weapons with each other. They describe a long rifle. They describe a pistol. They describe narcotics. They describe these two vehicles. They say exactly where they're supposed to be at. Call comes out. 3 officers get dispatched. The first one that gets there is a corporal, makes contact with him, brings him out at gunpoint. And the following is what happens. So this is coming to us from the Maryland Office of Attorney General. They have put this together. They have they've done quite a few of incidences that involve death or serious incidents. They'll put out a nice put together like press release thing at the end of it that has information of what was going on. So on October 29th at 4:30, the Anne Arundel County Police Department officer was responding to the 900 block of, I'm going to go back just a little bit so I can read it, 900 block of Wall Chapel Way after receiving a 911 call for 2 men in a vehicle with guns and drugs. So the first minute or so here, there's no audio, obviously, because that's how body cameras work. He's pulling up to the scene. Looks like he's in maybe an unmarked vehicle or a slick top because he's got the visor in the front. He's got his computer up. He's slowly driving. It's not like there's a pursuit. He's not aggressively coming in. He's not flying in hot. Tires aren't screeching. There's no audio, so we can't hear their siren or anything yet. But doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of what would you say? Emergent to try to get there?
Yeah, that's how I responded.
Put your hands up. Turn off the car. Turn off the car. Put your hands up. Turn off the car. Put your hands up. Stay right where you are, guys. I'm Corporal Stallings on body camera recording. You've been stopped right now. Just keep him up for me, okay? Just keep him up. Everything's going to be okay, all right?
He's identified himself as a police officer.
Why is he telling him everything's going to be okay?
The business I'm...
That's not my job.
Because this is where my mind would be going. I'd be trying to keep things down, keep things before not escalating, and I'm waiting for my backup to get there. Because now I'm there for sure. I've got 2 people, and I've got them at gunpoint, and they supposedly had guns.
There was 2 suspects, right?
2 suspects.
All right.
Right in front of his Rio Energy. I'm behind Petco. I'm with a
Turn down your in-car radio, asshole.
Yeah, that's a pet peeve that I used to have, that I used to always wear an earpiece. And it was because one time I had someone put out information over the radio and the suspect heard it and didn't like it, and we ended up getting to a tuffle. I'm not about getting into another fight with the suspect because they have information that I don't know. Or we
the only
now
shitty
both
part about an earpiece is that when you fight, it always comes out. So I can't hear. I can still. So if it's plugged into the mic, but the earpiece falls out, I can still transmit, but I can't hear anybody responding. So I'm just like, you always thinking like, dude, is no one fucking coming to me?
Where they at?
Mind you, they're trying to talk to you and they're sending guys to you, and then all of a sudden, it's the best feeling in the world. It's like almost as good as coming is hearing the cavalry coming. Just so you can just start hearing them.
You hear the next one,
and you're like, "Oh yeah, dude, you're about to fucking get it."
because in the back here, because right now I'm like, I've got I'm me. I got two people at gunpoint. If we gets into it, I'm gonna throw down. I'm going home at the end of the day. But now that I hear my cavalry coming, my confidence level that we're going to win this scenario, this situation, I've already got it under control. I'm maintaining control. The suspects understand that I have control of the situation. My backup's going to get there. We're going to have control of the situation. We're going to maintain it. Nothing bad's going to happen. Hopefully.
10-4.
Huh? Okay. Just keep him up.
So he's doing what I would be doing. Buying time. Yeah. There's no need to rush in there. There's no, he has them. Does he have physical control over them? Not really. You can see their hands, even if they got weapons down there. You can see their hands. And if they start making fruitive movements and start doing things.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. You can keep it playing, but you're absolutely right in the sense that I don't care. At this point, I'm just in self-preservation mode and any type of evidence mode that I can have. If somebody takes off running out the door, which happens all the time in a situation like this, let them go. Just let them go. They don't, you could probably figure out who they are post-investigation. And
Locker, you want to get driver first?
Or if they're destroying evidence or something, I'm not going to rush in there. It's just drugs.
So his partner gets there. He's up on the passenger side of the car.
Driver, is the vehicle off? Only driver, step out. I got it. Only.
What I like right now, too, is even though there's two people there, the other guy's closer, there's still one voice.
Yeah.
There's
not.
Whoa,
go back. Go back. I just want to see that guy exit out of the car.
He takes physical.
Locker, you want to get driver first?
It looked like he came out quick.
Is the vehicle off? Only driver, step out.
I think the nose of the patrol car is up with the nose of one of the vehicles, because we're seeing the vehicle that you're seeing through the passenger window is the vehicle that's to the right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. He came out regular. The cop was the one that moved quick.
So now your partner is taking the driver into custody, and you're maintaining coverage on the passenger. You still have coverage of these two vehicles. You can't see the vehicle that has the passenger in it because of
passenger. Is there anyone else in the car other than you, man? Passenger, step out. Passenger, keep your hands up. Passenger, you're gonna have to figure out what to do with your phone, man. Turn away from me. All right, slide to your left, sir. Take 3 steps. Sir, keep walking back to the sound of my voice, sir. Back.
Very clear command.
Back. Stop. Get down on your knees, sir. Put your hands on top of your head.
Very good. Very good for 2 cops.
Exact. My thoughts.
Is there 2 or is there 3 now?
There was 3 dispatched. I don't know if the third one's on scene yet.
Somebody's got to be at the back of this guy's car with him. Then you have him, and then is there somebody over here with the new suspect that just went down to a knee?
I don't think so. I think they just have the 2 officers.
Okay, because the way I would have done it is you have to have 2. If you're doing it like this, you got to have 2. You got to have contact and cover.
Yep.
The first guy would have been pulled out, handcuffed, patted down. I mean, there's a lot of talk about whether or not you can search him because I'm about to put him in my patrol car. He is going to go in the backseat of a secure patrol car, and then we're going to work on the passenger. Now, whether you can pat him down, but whether if you go in and search because you're going to put him in your car, and then you find something, that whatever that is probably going to get thrown out because you didn't have a constitutional right to search him. You were searching him because you were putting him in a police car. That being said, you're weighing safety versus some drugs, right? If you put him in the back of your patrol car and he's got a handcuff key or he's got a little 22 or something in his pocket that you didn't find because you were worried about finding dope and he getting thrown out. But so then you take the first guy and you put him in the back of the car, and then you assist the homeboy right here in securing the second guy. That's how I would have done it.
Yep, that's the exact same thing. I do the same thing. As soon as we get control of him, I do a quick pat down, make sure he doesn't have weapons. If I could find a cuff key, great. But cuff keys are like, you can get cuff keys that are tiny, and then you get ones that are meant to be concealed.
I've never ran into one, or
I've not
I
either.
didn't know I did, and they got it by me.
A couple of guys that work security that had handcuff keys on there, but they were on like the rest of their keys with all their other janitor key stuff like that. So, all right, let's continue. All right, so it looks like there may be the third officers here because the
I hear that
first
click.
guy, I heard the click, but then you can see off to behind the patrol car, I could see the first suspect hanging out there.
They were foot tasers behind the movie
Stop, I'll take you!
Ward 6.
Get down! Get your hands behind your back now! Get your hands behind your back!
Josh, do you know why he ran?
So after the fact, I have the report from the Maryland Office of Inspector General's Independent Investigation Division report. They recovered weapons from both vehicles. So they didn't recover a weapon on his person. And then there is a clip that's pulled, and I will pull up the OIG report and scroll down here. So there's this picture, and then I'm going to make it bigger so we can see it. This picture here shows something that fell. What that falling thing is we'll see in a second. It's the other officer's body camera. So that's not a weapon. It's not something that he had or that fell off of him during the chase. But
maybe he was worried about the gun in the car.
I'm not sure what, because in the report, the way that the report reads, and not to get Quentin Tarantino, the officer was not charged in this case. And the reason why they did not charge him, that they stated, is that the severity of the call, that he could have potentially had a weapon. They were running towards a shopping center. He's given commands for him to stop. While the officer did have chemical spray on him, OC spray and a baton, the distance that they were and that he was already behind him would have been ineffective. The only thing that he have non-lethal that he had on his person that would have been able to be effective was the taser. Very similar reading to the Fort Collins case that we just showed just a second ago. But they're going to get him
behind your back. Stop resisting.
1642.
I'm not resisting. I'm dead.
Do not move. Sir, give me your other hand now.
People will ask.
Sir, give me your other hand now.
He's here in a
Give me your
second.
other hand now, sir.
It's
Sir,
going to be
give me
very
your hand.
obvious that there's something wrong here. But people are going to ask, why are they still giving commands? Why are they still yelling? It's obvious that he's not responding. Well, because you don't know. We've had suspects that don't respond all the time.
He's doing the agonal breathing.
I was going to ask if you've heard this before.
That's not good.
Yep.
Subject hit his head on the pavement. We need fire.
So what also came out in the OIG report is while this was going on, I guess this agency has the ability to watch the body cameras live. And a patrol sergeant was watching the corporal who deployed the taser, watch his body camera live, watch the incident happen, and as soon as it happened, asked for medical to be sent out. As soon as these guys got him up and started, put him in the recovery position, he yells to have his partner go over and get the medical bag so they can start rendering care. So they render aid immediately. People are trying to render aid immediately. But one thing we have to understand is the reason that we're here is because the suspect ran.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that we're here is because...
And that's super terrible too, man. I'm really cynical. I like to make jokes. But, you know, this man didn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve to die over some... And the problem is that a lot of people, when they blame the police... That cop, if he could, and I said this my first day on this show when we talked about the guy that got hit by the car. If this cop could go back in time and fix one thing in his life, he would say, I wish I hadn't tased that guy. It's not worth it. This is fun for us. It's a job. It's a game. Catching bad guys is a game. We don't want bad guys to die over stuff like this. I would 100% let him go if I knew this, but you cannot know what's going to happen. There's no way to know. And it's just police work. It goes sideways very fast.
Because we seen how fast we literally had 1,000% control over the entire scene and situation,
and it looked cordial, right?
And it was cordial. Everyone was complying. Everyone was following instruction. There was nothing that went from, hey, someone's about to lose their life here in 30 seconds. Not only that, the police didn't run. The suspect did. Yes, the police enacted the arrest. They tased him. Yes, as an act of the tase, he fell. Yes, he hit his head. Yes, it was blunt force trauma was what the report of the cause of death was. The police didn't show up and start chasing someone. And after the fact, they recovered not one but two handguns from both of the vehicles.
I'm assuming
So
that's what that guy was running from.
That, or if he had, I'm not sure. It doesn't put out whether he had a warrant or anything else like that. That wasn't put out in the report.
Dude, that sucks. YouTube's definitely gonna fucking demonetize this one. It's just me and you just talking as some guy's fucking audibly dying.
This is, I pulled this from Maryland's Office of Inspector General on their YouTube. This is where I pulled this from. So this is what I've got up now. This is the body worn camera from the second officer.
Okay, this is okay.
Over top.
So I'm gonna back up just a little bit here.
Sound of my voice, sir.
So just to the right is the officer giving commands.
Back. Stop. Get down your knees, sir. Put your hands on top of your head.
Now they've been compliant the entire time. And I want you to just watch this next series of events and tell me where you thought that he was about to run.
Yep. Put your hands behind your back.
Let's him do this.
Interlock your fingers. Interlock together. Interlock them. Other way. Other way. Nope. Hands together. Like that. Perfect. Interlock. There you go.
Okay, pause it real quick. I can tell you exactly why this guy took off running. Because I'm sitting here going, he did all of this. Why take off running after he did? He took off running because he knew I have a chance. Because that cop is not being forceful enough. When you grab their hands, you let them know, this isn't me being an asshole. This isn't me being aggressive. This is me letting you know you are not going to get away from me. There's certain things you can do, hand placements that you can do that are not forceful at all, that show complete control. And this guy, this cop, like kind of like fidgeting, nope. And then he lets go. And this guy's like, dude, this cop doesn't have a hold of me at all. You know, and so that's why that shit happens. We broke down a video with Eric LaVaughn from Two Cops, One Donut, and we talked about the same thing. Sometimes people resist and get themselves in even more shitty situations and killed because the cops weren't aggressive or forceful enough off the bat, and it forces a lethal situation.
Gives the suspect, makes them think that they have a chance. Because one thing that I used to do, or one thing I paid attention to when I was dealing with people on the street, is I watched their eyes. There's a difference between someone looking at you and someone looking through you. If someone starts to look through you, or they're looking past your shoulder, or they're looking, they're not processing what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's going in one ear and out the other.
They're in a daze. They're in like a.
I'm looking for an exit. I'm looking for an out. Their fight or flight's kicking in. They're
thinking about it. They're also thinking about it. And when you can see, and what Josh is saying is something that you just pick up, like any job, you pick up different levels of that job later on. You can't, there's no way you can know that as a new cop, but you start picking it up. And that's when you see that, that's when you reaffirm with something. You reaffirm, turn around, spread your feet, and you know, okay. Then that guy goes, okay, fight or flight. I'm just going to comply at this point.
Yep. Because there's no, you're going to take the opportunity from them to think that they have a chance.
Yeah.
That's part of eating right with eating right with factor meals, getting a good night's sleep, staying in shape, making sure, it's great to tear on troopers and all that stuff. And they've got the nice tight pressed uniforms all the time. You know who doesn't fuck around? Troopers. You know who doesn't fuck around? Suspects. So as soon as you get a trooper behind you, the things change because they know, hey, these guys got their shit together.
Yeah.
And that's part of just coming prepared to work. You have to come prepared. Don't come in sloppy.
No. And I always say this, I show up, my uniform's tailored, you got to get those protein heavy meals in. You got to have the tattoos. That's why I'm big into look the part. You look the part, and the guy goes, maybe not today. Maybe I'll go to jail today.
Yep. Because Brent, I was listening to it this morning. Brent was talking about not judging a book by its cover, and you should judge a book by its cover. And I fully buy into that because when I would pull up to a suspect, pull up to a scene, and I see a dude that's 6'2", 6'3", 6'5", 250, 300 pounds, looks like he lives in the gym. I have an idea what I'm getting myself into. I know that my body size and my weight, my experience and my training, I know that if we get into it, just physics itself, this person can overpower me. So I'm not going to put myself in that situation. I'm going to wait for backup if I can, if I have the opportunity for it. So I'm going to try to judge the book by the cover. But I've also, on the flip side of that, some of the worst ass beatings I've ever got are by people that you look like, and there's no way. There's no way that person did that to you. I went to stop I can't remember what we were doing, why I was going from one thing to the other, but this car blew past me in a 25-mile-per-hour zone, and they were doing at least 55, 60 miles an hour. For sure, got my attention. I flipped a UE on it, hit the blue lights, nothing. Hit the siren, nothing. So we go on for a little bit, like I'm oblivious, like nothing, that I don't exist. So I'm starting to call off, because when you're behind a car and they don't want to stop, there's a difference between not want to stop and someone's on their cell phone, or they've got their Taylor Swift up too loud and they don't hear you, or they're looking at their GPS. And there's a lot of times that they're not going to see you. So there's a difference between, I light someone up and they slow roll and no, they're not running. They just don't see that I'm there, because you see them in the car, because you see them in the mirror. They'll do this. And as soon as they do this, you see the brake lights come on and the front of the car goes down to the floor. They start to jump the curb to find out to get off the road, because they think that they got to go off the road. Then they realize, so there's a difference between someone running and someone not running. And it just takes time to get that. And you don't want to, as a young officer, you don't want to put out, hey, I got to chase, because everybody else is like, game on. We got to chase. We're getting in our chase mode. We know what we have to do. We've played the game before. So I wouldn't call things out unless I kind of knew what I had. But this car just was not stopping. So I finally called it out. I'm like, hey, I got one that's not stopping. And not too soon after I said that on the radio, they bolted into a parking lot and parked. But they didn't park in a parking stall. They start parked parallel with all these other, those parking stalls. And there's a big empty parking lot. There was nobody there. So I pull up behind it and I'm like, okay, so I don't know what I have. The driver kicks the door open right away. Big red flag. No, that's something when you get pulled over, don't kick open the door. Just wait.
And he's deaf, and he's like, what are you doing?
Well, he wasn't a he was a she, and she was 85 or 86 years old. She got out and came right up to me. I got out and I judged the book by a cover. And I'm not about to get into a fight with grandma on the side of the road. Well, grandma had other intentions, because she forgot her purse at the grocery store. And she was on her way back to go pick up her purse before someone stole it. And I was stopping her from getting back to her purse. So in her mind, I was the bad guy. So I got into it with this 86-year-old woman on the side of the road.
Wait. How did that escalate into a physical altercation?
She comes up, because
I feel like I'm Josh's supervisor right now. Josh.
Oh no.
How the hell did this happen?
Well, he pulls up after the case.
What had happened, Sarge?
He pulls up, my lieutenant pulls up, and there's a female, elderly female in the back seat of my car, and he handcuffs. And I'm up, and I'm not, at this point, I've not responded to the radio for a while. Like you said, the earpiece goes out. I'm not hearing them calling me. My radio mic I used to wear on my chest. That was one of the few times the mic clip, we're not sponsored by them, but
yeah,
that was
works. That shit works. I use the mic loop.
Yeah, or the mic loop. All you have is one or two times, and that I had invested in the mic loop after that. But my mic was hanging down, my badge is hanging off, my name tag is all disheveled, my gun belt's unbuckled on my pepper spray. We got into it. So we're at the front of the car between the two cars. She starts putting her hands up, starts doing the, hey, you're stopping me, the patting on the arm, hitting you on the shoulders and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's not hurting me, but it's technically assault. But I can obviously overpower this woman. I don't feel the need to stop this. And it kept going. Well, now I'm trying to get a hold of her, and she is just a tiny little lady that has old man strength, and she's flipping around and doing her ninja jiu-jitsu skills, and tiny people can slip in out of stuff. So as soon as you start putting a wrist lock in or try to get a hold of her.
She's 85.
Yeah, she was old. She was tiny. She came up to she whooped my ass, dude.
Did you have to quit your department after that? Out of sheer embarrassment?
I paid my lieutenant off not to no one ever. So there's people that maybe worked with me that have heard of this, but yeah, she whooped my, I can see the parking lot right now with my, like, she whooped my ass, dude. But I didn't have press charges. I didn't do anything with her. I got her out of the car, and after the fact, when my lieutenant's there, things calmed down, and we're like, hey, first of all, the blue lights, you have to stop. Speed limit is there for a reason. You know, there's kids and all these other people walking their, you know, there's wives walking their kids and dogs and stuff on the side of the road. There's a reason why we don't want you doing 900 miles an hour. Also, when we turn the lights on, we want you to stop. So stop. Next, when you get out of the car, don't get into a physical altercation with the police. So once we found out what was going on, things kind of slowed down. Like we didn't need to like go into this, but I didn't think when this car passed me that any of what happened was going to happen. None of that. And I don't think that these officers, when they got this call, thought, hey, I'm about to taser someone and they're going to fall and their face is going to hit a curb and that's going to be in their life. I don't think that they thought that. Not only that, they're going to live with that forever. Like, even though they didn't get charged, I don't use the word exonerated. I just use the word they didn't get charged. They still have to live with that. You're going to have to, next time he pulls out a taser and someone starts to run, that's going to come back. You're going to remember that. That's going to be there. So they're
Stateside kill.
Stateside kill. Finally get your green side.
Yeah, I brought a big back prostitute once. I swear to God, she had to be 350 pounds. I thought it was a she-male. It was not. She was just a big old girl. And we were in the middle of the road. And I was like, man, I could hear the sirens coming. But that was the only time I was like, I really wish I didn't hear those sirens coming. Because everybody was, the shit talking commenced as soon as she was under control.
I like this. To me, I like shit talkers because it made it entertaining for me. Because I'm going to have that once you've interacted with someone and you're with cuffs on them, you're going to be with them for the next couple of hours or whatever. You're stuck with them. I like the ones that shit talk because it was entertaining for me. It gave me something to do other than just sit there and try to type the paperwork out.
I meant the shit talking from my peers.
Yeah,
they
shit
were
talking.
like, I heard them coming. I was like, man, this is not going to be good. Like they're gonna chastise me and berate me, you know, because this big back prostitute. Dude, I had her up against my car because she was trying to go for a fanny pack, and I know prostitutes keep blades in there. I don't really think she would have stabbed me, but I don't want her to have it out because then I have to resort to lethal force. So I'm trying to keep. And she pushed us off my car. And I was like, whoa. And then I took her down. And then she started pushing us off the ground. And I had a side mount. And that's when I was like, County, I need more units. I can't. I got one resisting. Because she wasn't, I don't like to say fighting over the radio when I can, you know, when I'm trying to hold someone and keep them from running away. I just say, like, hey, I have one resisting. I'm okay. My tone says that I'm okay. But if I don't get people here, this bitch might win.
Yeah, we had me and a buddy of mine. He's a K9 trooper in Illinois now. I stopped the car. I was working overtime for them, and I stopped the car for speeding. And I had been the watch sergeant, or we had got this lady, and I was the desk sergeant the day that we got her for driving us suspended. At the end of the night, they pulled a DUI and a suspended license with like 40 minutes to go before shift was over, and I was not happy. But the license was suspended from Texas, and Texas DPS has a weird way their NCIC reads out. So we had to call to find out she has a suspended license. So anyway, we pulled this car over. I pulled this car over, come up, make contact with the driver. She's female. She says, I don't have a license. I'm learning. So I said, you have a learner's permit? She's no, I don't have a license. I said, you don't have anything at all? She's like, no. And the passenger goes, this is my wife. I'm teaching her how to drive. I was like, okay, so do you have a license? He said, yes. So I get his information, get what information I got from her, and we go back to the car. And I get back to the car, and my buddy pulls up, and we get out, and he starts talking with me. He's like, I remember this chick. I'm like, okay, what from? And he told me like the previous couple of weeks, because we rotated shifts, which was stupid. But anyway, I'm like, all right, so we'll go get her out. I will process her for driving without a license, driving on a suspended license. We'll do everything we need to on scene. I can cut her a ticket, tow her car, she can walk. The dude that's in the passenger seat, just get his information, we'll be good. So we go up, we get her out, and we bring her back. We pat her down. We don't put her in handcuffs. That's kind of that's on us, but we don't put her in handcuffs because we're going to process on scene. We pat her down. She doesn't have weapons. She's been cooperative, just like this guy has been the entire time. So we pat her down, put her in the back I can't remember my car or Paul's car, whatever car had the cage, put her in that car. So while we're putting her in the car, we go up, or while Paul's putting her in the car, I'm up with the passenger and I'm getting the passenger's information. Okay, man, what's going on? Because in Hawaii, you can charge the driver if they knowingly allow someone to drive the vehicle that doesn't have a driver's license, or drive a vehicle that doesn't have insurance, or if they're impaired and they give the keys to the vehicle, we can charge the owner of the vehicle for knowingly allowing the other thing to happen. So we're talking with him, getting information. While we're getting information, we look back and she's on her cell phone talking to someone in the backseat of the car behind the cage. So Paul's like, I'll go take care of that. So Paul goes in to tell her to get off the phone. Next thing, I'd look back and Paul is literally getting yanked into the back of the car. All I see is his waist and his feet kind of kicking from the back seat. So I drop everything. We go back. We start fighting with this chick. She's not giant, but she's not a small woman either.
You guys all in the back seat?
By this time, Paul's got her out of the back seat and he's got her up against the fender of the back of the car. But he's trying to get the phone from her and she will not relinquish the phone. So I'm like, well, why don't we just put her in handcuffs? We'll put her in handcuffs. We'll get the phone afterwards. Let's do that. So we go to put her in handcuffs. Well, then she starts fighting. Well, then she brings her leg and she starts kicking her leg up back between her legs to try like the mule kick and things like that. Well, where we are is on a main stretch of road, and where it's going on is this is like rush hour traffic getting ready to leave. And I'm working on this is going on, by the way, most of all my stories are on a military base.
Yeah. Why were you in Hawaii? Were you stationed there and then got out and became a cop?
Kind of. My first wife we were dual military. I got out. She got orders to Hawaii. She decided when she deployed to sleep with half her unit. I had a problem with that. So we separated and I ended up staying in Hawaii because at the time I had a contracting job with the Navy. So I stayed there for a while. And then when the contracting job looked like it was going to be up, I had applied with the Marine Corps to be a base cop. And by the end of 2008, I made a decision. I was either leaving Hawaii, leaving the job for the contract, or I was going to get hired by the Marine Corps. And I ended up getting hired by the Marine Corps. And I stayed out there for another 4 years. But yeah, we right as everyone's leaving base, like 4 o'clock, we're getting to this tussle right on the main road. And we end up hip tossing this giant woman on the side of the road. And there's people taking pictures. And I'm like, God, we're going to get on camera. Then the driver. So the husband is the driver. He is now leaning out of the passenger side window. Get him, baby. Go get him. Go get him. Go get him. So now we get him out at gunpoint because we don't know what he has. He's encouraging all this. We have no idea. Like, it went from 0 to apeshit crazy in a minute. So we put it out. We got one fighting, or not one fighting. We got one resisting. Just down the road was our SRT guys. They were doing some training event. So the van pulls up and like 4 SRT guys jump out right as we get her in handcuffs. They go up, put the dude in handcuffs, and the watch sergeant comes up and he's like, what's going on? Once we finally got all of what was going on, that she was driving on suspended license. We got her for driving on suspended license before, like a couple weeks ago. This is a problem that we've been running into with her, but then the resisting and all that stuff. But going back to this, it went from 0 to now we're hip tossing this giant lady on the side of the road in rush hour traffic in no time. So we weren't, I didn't face charges for excessive force or anything like that because I never tased anybody that died. But this main case here that we were talking about, they were not charged. The Fort Collins Taser one was not charged. This one from Maryland was not charged. But you want to touch on this one case and then we'll kind of like preview it because the officer was charged in this case.
Yeah, sure.
So in keeping with suspects passing away in the line of what's going on, let's keep that energy. Keep that going. We have Michigan State Police, the United States Marshal's Office. There's a task force that's working up there for stolen vehicles and things like that. And they get out after these suspects. And one of the suspects decides to try to be a track and field star and runs. And they get into a foot chase with him. And this is the incident. I've got multiple angles of this. This is from one of the officers that's
I feel like
him.
This guy should have done a U-turn. This guy runs an extensive amount.
A lot of them do.
kudos to him. He does it really well, and he doesn't look like he's fazed by it. But this guy, I mean, he runs far.
And he doesn't really slow down to stride either.
You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point, I think he would have been better off just doing a U-turn.
Yep. So the suspect has decided to go to the BK Lounge. And that sound is the suspect being hit by an unmarked patrol car and pinned between the patrol car and the building. So this one we're going to break this one down a little bit more in depth because this one's a little bit different. Whereas the taser wasn't used, a vehicle was. Was it intentional? Was it not intentional? But the suspect has passed away.
Do you know if that sergeant that hit him is a Marshall's task force guy?
I believe he is with that. He is assigned to that task force. His Michigan State Police 6th District Fugitive Task Force attempt to arrest the suspect Sterling, who ran away, according to the press release. The sergeant is a Detective Sergeant Brian Kelly of Grand Rapids, and he's been charged with second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, following the death of Sterling, who died from fleeing troopers. A second-degree murder conviction could leave up to life in prison. The involuntary manslaughter is 15 years.
Man. That's a lot, man. Just to get that bad guy, he's facing 15 years. But you got him. But at what cost? The rest of your life in prison?
Yep. Let him go. Like, when I was younger, like if I listen, I wish we had podcasts when I first started out my career to be able to, because I don't know how much I would have been like if someone pulled me aside and said, "Hey, man, we all get paid the same. You don't need to go out there and pull 900 cars over. Hey, man, we don't get paid the same. You don't need to do your walking patrols and find drugs every single time you go on a walking patrol. Hey, man, you could slow down. We all get paid the same. Hey, man, when the people run, let them run. We'll get them another day. Hey, man, you need to, preserve yourself. Look after yourself." Because I was that young guy that I was running gun. I didn't care. Like the call comes out and I'm close. 965, I'll be around. You go ahead and attach me to that. I'm right around the corner. Like I would Roger up on calls. When the suspect would run, I would run. But now after being a part of the podcast and having a little bit more experience and understanding that they can run, we'll get them another day.
Well, I had the benefit of having my father, who is retired, and all of his friends, and I was able to see there is no such thing as a happy retired cop. There just isn't. And the ones that want to go, "I'm a happy retired cop, motherfucker," you're not, because you're yelling at me on a podcast in the comments section. Because if you were a happy retired cop, you wouldn't be listening to this, because you would be out there enjoying your family, living your last years, not a care in the world, no negativity, because you're retired. But if they make it to retirement, they're very unhappy. There's a void in their life because they were a cop in the 90s and 2000s, and it was their whole life. And now they retire, the agency moves on, their friends move on. Now they have only got 3 people that will go meet them for coffee every now and again, right? And it's like, so I saw all of that.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm going to take this job with a grain of salt, essentially. And I very, 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 I benefited a lot from seeing that. And so that's what I try to do, is I try not to be a lazy piece of shit when I talk to people. I try not to sound lazy, but I want people to understand, and I don't have a bad attitude. This is just how it is. This is how it is. And you can be mad at me if you want as a messenger, and then in 10 years come to me and go, "Hey, Daddy Tyler, you were right. I'm going to go, I know I was right, son. I'm going to hug them, and they're going to be okay." And then we're all going to be in the club of the 10-year cops that have been boned, have been screwed over, have been, essentially by the agency and left on your own. Then you join our club. And that's, I think, where we're all at as podcasters. We're all at that point.
Yeah, we know that there's more beyond this, but we don't. I'm not a cop. I'm not going to be a cop ever again because I'm in a wheelchair. But the thought of being in like a lieutenant's position or being in some sort of leadership position like that, I hated the idea of that. I enjoyed taking calls. I enjoyed being on the road. when I was a FTO and I was a watch sergeant, I enjoyed that aspect. It was a different aspect of it. But as soon as you start getting, like as an FTO, now you do your cop work and you're doing an FTO job. You're training someone. You're responsible for training someone who's also doing the same job as you. Not only that, you're training this person. This person could be your backup someday. So you're kind of evaluating this person for the agency, saying, hey, is this person worthy of this? Should we have this? Do I trust this person to be my backup? Do I trust this person to go out on calls and represent the agency, to go out and answer calls and say, hey, yep, that's the way every one of us would do the same thing. You're evaluating that. Also training them, telling them, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you're supposed to do this. I know the academy showed you this, but this is how it's applied in the real world. And I know that the application of this in the real world, you have to understand the legalities of this from the academy. But then you become a corporal and you got more supervision. So you got to worry about scheduling and time off and training schedules and disciplinary things of stuff. And then same thing as a watch sergeant. Like it's less and less of the job of being a cop and more of management. I'm not a manager. I don't like to manage. I'm a worker. I like to work. So,
well, if you guys like this, let us know in the comments. Let Eric know that he sucks and he should never come back.
Yep.
Put that in the comments.
You can write it in bold. I don't normally encourage people to write text in bold because when you do, I feel like you're yelling at me.
Yeah.
This is one of those few times I'll encourage bold text. Underline if you want to underline it, if you have those technical skills. I don't know how to do that.
But yeah, the last case that we just talked about, we're going to break that down in a couple weeks, probably.
I don't know if Eric has a guest for next week because he talked about having a guest every other week and then a breakdown every other week. Whether it makes it to the Friday whether it makes it on there, we'll break this one down. We'll talk about this one, even if it's on the new breakdown show or breakdown channel. This one I think we need to talk about. There's a lot of things that I've seen in just this one little clip that I'm not agreeing with some of the charges, but I'm not giving him not like an olive branch. I'm not saying that, hey, these were some pretty crazy circumstances that was going on. There's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, you have to know in 2024 you can't crunch a guy with your car for misdemeanor charges. Like, I mean, maybe he had felony charges because it was a marshal's task force, so I should say that, and they might be violent felony charges, but it's just he's unlucky because I seen guys do it and get away with it. Like, oh, the guy was just too stupid to complain. You know, guys knocked off bicycles with cars that could have won huge lawsuits, and they don't know to do it, and they go to jail, and everyone's like, but it happens. So,
yep. You got anything big? Got any guests coming up next week with Anti-Hero?
Oh man, Monday we're releasing a Navy SEAL who was retiring in good standards, decided to run for Minneapolis Congress. And when he went to do that, because he was running conservative and it was under the Biden campaign, all of a sudden his entire Navy command called him back, incarcerated him. He missed the thing that he needed to do to be at in order to get selected as a candidate. And then as soon as that happened, they let him go and they took his trident. So they just butt fucked him hard. So he goes on and explains his story. It was a really good one. And then, we're taking after, kind of like some of you guys, we're going to start doing a live stream every Thursday night.
That's awesome.
Really chill, really laid back, cigars, whiskey, beers, just chilling with the boys, no script, so that'll be fun.
Sounds dangerously awesome.
Yeah, I know, right?
Can we edit in real time? Get one of the buttons that's just nothing but a sound of a beep. You see her?
Well, we're going to do it, and then I know, you can select either it automatically does it or you can manually update it. Like, at the end of it was like, is everybody okay with that going on YouTube? Don't be a pussy.
Anybody got a job we're gonna lose after this one? All righty, guys. Well, if you're tired from listening to us, get on your ghost bed, take a nap. It'll make you feel better afterwards, and then get up, get you one of those Factor meals, get your day taken care of. Want to thank Ghost Bed and Factor Meals for sponsoring us. Ghost Bed's been with us from day one, and Factor Meals has been with us pretty much the majority of last year and all of this year so far.
Is Ghost Bed really the only bed that's manufactured in the United States? Mattress, I mean?
That is a good question. I will look into it and I will give you an answer. I know that I know that they are manufactured in the USA. I think they're down in Florida.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Extremely comfortable. All righty, guys. From myself, Deadleg here for Taser Stop, from Tyler, Anti-Hero Podcast.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Daddy Tyler, Uncle Josh.
We're
We're
out.
gonna come. We're gonna come hard.